The descent into Meridia's atmosphere bathed Ren Kishi's shuttle in a wash of azure and violet. Through the viewport, the crystalline landscape of the Lunari homeworld shimmered like a jewel set against the velvet backdrop of space. As the craft settled onto the landing platform, he gathered his research materials with the careful precision that had earned him recognition as Earth's foremost xenarchaeologist. Remember the protocols. Dr. Kishi came the crackling voice of his mission director through his earpiece. The Lunari are nearly extinct. Their queen has granted this access as a gesture of goodwill. Don't make us regret recommending you. Ren adjusted his expedition jacket, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Understood, Director. I've studied their customs extensively. I won't disappoint you. Stepping out into Meridia's lighter gravity, Ren was immediately struck by the planet's beauty. Crystal formations stretched toward 3 pale moons, their surfaces reflecting prismatic light. The air carried a faint scent, like jasmine and ozone. But what truly captivated him was the structure before him, the Palace of Echoes. Last bastion of the Lunari civilization, 2 attendants awaited him, their movements fluid and graceful. Their skin held a subtle lavender hue, but lacked the luminescence described in the research files. They bowed slightly, palms pressed together. "The Queen awaits," the taller one said, voice melodious. "Follow us, Earth Scholar." The palace interior defied Earth architecture corridors that seemed to flow rather than connect. Ceilings that captured light and transformed it into gentle, shifting patterns. Ren followed in respectful silence. Trying not to gape at the mathematical precision of every curve and arc, they arrived at an enormous circular chamber. Light poured in through crystalline apertures, creating pools of rainbow radiance on the polished floor. At the chamber center stood a solitary figure, her back toward them. "Your Radiance," the attendant announced. "We present Ren Kishi of Earth." When she turned, Ren nearly forgot his carefully rehearsed greeting. Queen Niera of the Lunari was unlike any being he had encountered in his years of interstellar research. Her skin was a deep, rich purple that seemed to pulse with inner light, as though stars were embedded beneath the surface. Her eyes, moon-shaped and extraordinary, were the color of twilight, with pinpoints of light that made them appear as living galaxies. "Dr. Kishi," she said, her voice carrying a resonance that seemed to vibrate in his chest. "You've traveled far to study the remnants of my people," and bowed deeply as protocol demanded. "Your Majesty, I'm honored by your permission to document your civilization's artifacts. The Lunary achievements in harmonizing technology with natural crystalline formations are unparalleled in the known galaxy." A small smile played at her lips. "You speak as though we are already extinct, Doctor." Heat rushed to his face. "I apologize for any offense, none taken," she interrupted, moving closer. Her movement was fluid, like water flowing over stones. "There are fewer than 100 of us now. In cosmic terms, we are indeed facing extinction." As she approached, Ren noticed how the light in the room seemed drawn to her, creating a subtle aurora around her form. The research had mentioned bioluminescence, but seeing it in person was breathtaking. "You will have access to our historical archives and artifact chambers," she continued. "But certain sacred items require my personal supervision during your examination." "Of course, Your Majesty." "I would never presume, Niera," she said, her gaze direct and unwavering. "When we work together, you will call me Niara. Formalities become tiresome when one's subjects number less than 100. Something in her voice, a note of loneliness, perhaps caught Ren off guard. He nodded, unable to look away from her eyes. "The stellar crown is our most precious relic," she said, gesturing to an alcove where a circlet of crystal and unknown metal rested. "It contains the collective memories of my ancestors. It has been damaged for centuries. Your expertise might help restore it. I would be honored. T8. Niera." Her name felt intimate on his tongue, and when he spoke it, the lights beneath her skin pulsed briefly brighter. For a moment, neither spoke, and Ren became acutely aware of his heartbeat, seemingly louder in the quiet chamber. "You begin tomorrow," she finally said, breaking the silence. "Tonight you will rest and acclimate to our atmosphere. My attendants will show you to your quarters." As Ren bowed and turned to follow the attendants, he felt her eyes on him, curious, appraising. Something passed between them in that moment. Something unspoken and unexpected. It wasn't part of his research protocol. It wasn't part of his careful planning. And as he left the royal chamber, Renkishi realized with a mixture of excitement and trepidation that nothing, in his years of academic preparation, had equipped him for the sensation of being truly seen by those twilight eyes. Morning on Meridia arrived with cascading light that filtered through the crystalline walls of Ren's quarters, creating dancing patterns across his sleeping form. He woke to the gentle chiming of what the Lunari called dawn bells resonant, crystal formations that vibrated with the planet's rotation. After dressing in his expedition attire, Ren organized his tools with methodical precision micro-restoration implements, scanning devices, and documentation equipment. His hands moved with practiced efficiency, but his mind kept returning to the Queen's twilight eyes and the subtle glow of her purple skin. "Focus, Kishi," he muttered to himself. "You're here as a scientist, not a starry-eyed tourist." The attendant who arrived to escort him seemed to glide rather than walk, leading Ren through corridors that shifted in color as they passed. Within minutes, they arrived at a smaller chamber adjacent to the throne room. Queen Niera awaited him there, her form silhouetted against a wall of translucent crystal that revealed the mountain range beyond. "Your quarters were satisfactory?" she asked, turning to face him. Today, her attire was simpler, a flowing garment that seemed woven from light itself, highlighting the luminescent quality of her skin. "More than satisfactory," Ren replied, bowing slightly. "I've never rested in a room that seemed to breathe with the planet." A smile touched her lips. "Our architecture responds to the crystalline resonance of Meridia's core. Your Earth buildings stand separate from your world. Ours commune with it," she gestured, toward a pedestal at the room's center, where the stellar crown rested. Up close, Ren could see the damage fractures along the delicate lattice, dulled nodes where once brilliant crystals had shattered. "It's been inert for 3 generations, Niera explained, her voice softening. "Legend says it once connected the wearer to every Lunari who came before their memories, their wisdom. Now, it's merely a beautiful relic." Ren approached carefully, his trained eye assessing the crown's construction. "May I?" he asked, reaching for his scanner. Niera nodded, moving closer to observe. Her proximity sent an unexpected warmth through Ren's body, a sensation. It's distinctly unprofessional that he tried desperately to ignore. "The damage appears structural rather than energetic," he said, focusing on his work. "These connection points, they're designed to channel something. Not electricity exactly, but something similar. We call it soul fire," Niera said. Her hand moved next to his, pointing to a particular node. Their fingers nearly touched, and Ren felt a strange tingle across his skin. "It's the energy that makes us luminous. It flows through our bodies like your blood, but it also connects us to each other and to Meridia itself." For hours, they worked side by side. Ren documented every facet of the crown while Niera explained its significance. As the day progressed, formality between them gradually dissolved. Niera spoke of her childhood, of learning to control her luminescence, of the weight of leading a dying race. Ren shared stories of Earth, of distant archaeological digs, of nights spent alone studying ancient cultures while peers sought companionship. "You've never formed a pair bond?" Niera asked as they paused for refreshment, a sweet nectar that tasted of honeyed starlight. Ren shook his head. "My work has always come first. Most humans want someone who's present, not chasing artifacts across the galaxy." "And you?" "A queen without a consort," Ren ventured, immediately regretting the personal observation rather than offense. Niara's eyes revealed something like sorrow. "The Lunari royal line must remain pure, tradition dictates. But with so few of us remaining," she let the thought trail off, her inner light dimming momentarily. "Some traditions become hollow when survival itself is uncertain." By evening, they had completed the initial assessment. Ren believed the crown could be restored, given time and careful work. As they finished cataloging the day's findings, Niera's attendant announced the evening meal. "Would you join me?" Niera asked. "Dining alone becomes tedious. I would welcome your company." The formal dining chamber was intimate rather than grandiose. Crystalline chairs flanked a table fashioned from what appeared to be solidified light. The meal consisted of foods unfamiliar to Ren, fruits that glowed from within, delicacies with textures that shifted as they were consumed. As they dined, conversation flowed more freely. Niera laughed at Ren's stories of archaeological mishaps, and he found himself entranced by the way her laughter made the light beneath her skin pulse brighter. "Your people are fascinating," she said. "So brief in your existence, yet so determined to leave your mark." "And yours," Ren replied. "So long-lived, yet so connected to each moment." Their eyes met across the table, and something unspoken passed between them. Recognition, perhaps, of kindred spirits despite physical differences. When Niera's hand briefly touched his while reaching for a crystal goblet, neither pulled away immediately. "Tomorrow," she said, as they finally parted for the night, "I will show you our ancestral caverns. Perhaps they hold insights for restoring the crown." As Ren lay in his quarters that night, he found sleep elusive. His mind replayed every moment with Niera, her movements, her voice, the subtle ways her light responded to emotions. He had come to Meridia as a scientist, but something more complex was taking root. Something that had no place in his research notes or academic papers, something dangerous and wonderful. Dawn's third cycle found Ren and Niera descending into the ancestral caverns beneath the Palace of Echoes. The passage narrowed as they ventured deeper, walls transitioning from polished crystal to raw, unworked stone veined with luminous minerals. Their path was lit only by the natural glow of Niera's purple skin and small light torbs that floated beside them like obedient stars. "Few outsiders have seen these chambers," Niera said, her voice echoing softly. "These caverns are the birthplace of Lunari civilization. Our ancestors emerged from the crystal matrices here, drawn by Meridia's resonance." The tunnel opened into a vast cavern whose ceiling disappeared into darkness above. Massive crystal formations rose from floor to unseen heights, each pulsing with faint internal light. At the chamber's center stood a pool of liquid so still it appeared Salada perfect, reflecting the crystalline formations. "The Pool of Echoes," Niera explained, leading Ren toward its edge. "It's said to contain the essence of every Lunari who has returned to the crystal at life's end." Ren knelt beside the pool, careful not to touch its surface. His scientific mind raced with questions about its composition, while something deeper responded to its beauty with wordless awe. "This is what powers the stellar crown," Niera continued. "Or rather, the energy that flows from here to every crystal on Meridia, including those in the crown." She knelt beside him, her reflection merging with his on the pool's surface. "And those within me?" The intimacy of her words wasn't lost on Ren. He turned to find her eyes on him, not as a queen observing a visitor, but as a woman seeing a man. The realization sent heat coursing through his body. "The resonance patterns in the crown," he said, forcing his thoughts back to his purpose. "They're designed to amplify this energy, aren't they?" Niera nodded. "To channel it, to focus it, to allow communion with those who came before." Her voice softened. "To ensure no Lunari ever truly feels alone." The word "alone" hung in the air between them. Ren understood its weight, as the perpetual outsider among his own kind. She as the last queen of a fading race. For hours they studied the cavern's formations. Ren documented resonance patterns while Niera explained Lunari energy manipulation techniques. As they worked, the space between them seemed charged with unspoken thoughts. When their hands accidentally touched while examining a particular crystal formation, neither pulled away immediately. "You feel it too?" Niera said quietly. Not a question, but an observation. Ren met her gaze. Scientific detachment warred with the undeniable pull he felt toward her. "I shouldn't," he finally admitted. "It's not why I'm here. Why we begin journeys and where they lead us are often different paths," she replied. Her luminescence brightened, sending ripples of light across her purple skin. "Does your science have an explanation for this? For how a being evolved on a world millions of light years from mine can make my soulfire respond as if it recognizes you?" Before he could answer, she raised her hand to his face, hesitant, hovering just above his skin. "May I?" she whispered. Ren nodded, unable to form words. Her fingers touched his cheek with exquisite gentleness. Where they connected, a tingling warmth spread through him, not uncomfortable, but intensely intimate, as though something of her essence flowed into him. "Your energy," she murmured, wonder in her voice. "It's different from ours, but it sings in harmony." Instinctively, Ren raised his own hand to her face, tracing the luminous contours of her cheek. Beneath his fingertips, her skin pulsed brighter, the purple deepening to an almost violet shade. "Is this permitted?" he asked, voice rough with emotion he'd never planned to feel. A sad smile touched her lips. "Permitted? No. There are ancient laws against such communion between Lunari and other species." Her eyes held his. "But there are also laws against extinction, against the end of all we are. Sometimes, when faced with such endings, new beginnings must be considered." In the silence of the ancient cavern, surrounded by the history of her people, Niera leaned forward and pressed her forehead to his. The contact sent waves of sensation through Renat, just physical but something deeper. As if for a moment their thoughts intertwined. "I have lived 3 of your lifetimes," she whispered. "I have been queen, scholar, diplomat, but never have I been simply Nair until now, with you." When they finally emerged from the caverns hours later, something had fundamentally shifted between them. They walked closer, their hands occasionally brushing, each contact sending ripples of light across Niera's skin that evening. As they worked late into the night on the stellar crown, the air between them seemed charged with possibility and danger in equal measure. The crown was beginning to respond to their efforts, faint pulses of energy flowing through its restored connections. "There will be consequences," Niera said softly as they prepared to part for the night. "If we continue this path?" Ren knew she meant more than their work on the crown. "I know," he replied, "but some discoveries are worth any price." As he returned to his quarters, Ren understood that he had crossed a threshold from which there was no return. Tomorrow would bring the Festival of Alignment, a rare cosmic event when Meridia's 3 moons would form a perfect triangle in the sky. Niera had invited him to witness it from the Crystal Spire. It's the highest point in the palace, and in that invitation lay an unspoken question, one that would change everything. The day of the alignment dawned with unusual brilliance. Meridia's 3 moons, visible even in daylight, had begun their cosmic choreography drawing. It's closer to form the perfect triangle that occurred only once every 73 years. Throughout the Palace of Echoes, Lunari attendants hurried to prepare for the sacred celebration. Their normally calm demeanors, placed with quiet excitement. Ren spent the morning finalizing pairs on the stellar crown. The delicate work required his complete focus. Yet his thoughts continually drifted to Niara and the unspoken tension that had grown between them. His fingers traced the intricate patterns of the crown's crystal lattice, reconnecting pathways for the mysterious energy the Lunari called soulfire. "You've made remarkable progress," came Niara's voice from the doorway. Ren looked up to find her watching him. Dressed in ceremonial attire that took his breath away, her gown appeared woven from crystalline threads that caught and refracted light with every movement. Her purple skin glowed more vibrantly than usual, pulsing subtly with her heartbeat. "The fundamental design is ingenious," he replied, setting down his tools. "Whoever created this understood energy manipulation at a quantum level." Niera approached, her movements fluid and graceful. "It was my ancestor, Queen Lasara, who forged the crown during the last great fading. When our numbers first began to decline, she stood beside him, looking down at the crown. She believed connection was the key to our survival." Their hands rested side by side on the workbench, not quite touching, yet aware of each other's presence. The air between them felt charged with anticipation. "It's nearly complete," Ren said. "One final calibration during tonight's alignment should restore full functionality." "You've given my people a precious gift," Niera said softly. Her twilight eyes met his. "But I fear you've given me something far more dangerous." Before Ren could respond, attendants arrived too. "Prepare the crown for transport to the Crystal Spire." The intimate moment dissolved into practical arrangements. Yet the echo of her words lingered as evening approached. Ren was escorted to the base of the Crystal Spira. towering structure that rose from the palace's central courtyard toward the darkening sky. Unlike the other crystalline formations of lunary architecture, the spire appeared to have grown naturally. Its faceted surface untouched by tools, a spiral pathway wound around its exterior, leading upward to a platform near the summit. Ren began the ascent, each step bringing him closer to the gathering lunary nobles, and he knew, to Niara herself, the platform at the spire's peak offered an unobstructed view of Meridia's horizon and the three moons, visibly converging. Fewer than 50 lunari had gathered, a somber reminder of their dwindling numbers. They parted respectfully as Ren approached, their curious glances following his progress toward the center where Niara stood beside an ancient pedestal. "Welcome, Ren Kishi of Earth," she greeted him formally. Though her eyes conveyed a more personal message, "You arrive at a fortuitous moment. The alignment begins." Above them, the three moons, one silver, one pale blue, one amber, slid into perfect triangular formation. The moment they locked into place, a change swept over the assembled lunari. Their natural luminescence intensified. Individual lights pulsing in synchronization like a silent heartbeat, Niara's glow outshone them all. Waves of light rippling beneath her purple skin as she raised her arms toward the moons. "In the light of our ancient guardians, we remember those who came before. In their perfect harmony, we seek our own." At her gesture, an attendant brought forward the stellar crown on a cushion of woven light. Ren stepped forward, keenly aware of every lunari watching as he made final adjustments to the crown's resonance matrix. "It should respond to the amplified energy during the alignment," he explained, his voice carrying in the reverent silence. "If my calculations are correct, the crown will reconnect with the collective memory stored in the pool of echoes." Niara nodded, then addressed her people. "For generations, the stellar crown has remained silent, its connection to our ancestors severed. Tonight, through the knowledge of Earth and the wisdom of Meridia, we attempt restoration." With ceremonial solemnity, she lifted the crown and placed it upon her head. For a breathless moment, nothing happened then. As the moonlight struck its crystals, the crown began to glow. Niara gasped, her eyes widening as light flowed from the crown down through her body, merging with her own luminescence. "I can hear them," she whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Generations of voices, memories flowing like rivers of light. The assembled lunari watched in awe as their queen communed with their collective past. Tears of luminous liquid slipped down purple cheeks as ancient knowledge returned to the living. For nearly an hour, Niara stood transfixed, the crown pulsing with energy, her body a conduit for ancestral wisdom. When the moons began their slow separation and the crown's glow dimmed, Niara removed it with trembling hands. Her eyes, when they found Ren's, held depths he had never seen before. "My people," she announced, her voice steady despite her visible emotion, "the wisdom of our ancestors returns to us. Celebrate this night with the traditional luminary dance. I must speak with Dr. Kishi about what I have learned." As the lunari dispersed to begin their ceremonial dancer, mesmerizing display of synchronized light and movement, Niara led Ren to a private alcove carved into the spire's side. There, overlooking the vast crystalline landscape bathed in triple moonlight, they stood in momentary silence. "What did you experience?" Ren finally asked. "Everything," she replied, her voice hushed with reverence. "The birth of my species, the great migrations, the building of this very palace." She turned to him, her expression intense. "And I learned that we were wrong about our traditions. Ren, the prohibition against union with other species, it was never about purity. It was about compatibility." She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her luminous skin. "Our ancestors feared our energies would not harmonize with others, that attempting such communion might destroy both participants." Her eyes searched his, but they never encountered humans. "They never encountered you." Ren's heart thundered in his chest. "What are you saying?" "The crown showed me possibilities, futures branching like crystal formations." Her hand rose to his face, fingers tracing his features with exquisite gentleness. "In some, my people fade to nothing. becoming memory alone. In others, we find new paths, new harmonies. The space between them seemed charged with electricity. Ren knew he stood at a crossroads, professional detachment on one path, something profound and unknown on the other. "I came here as a scientist," he said quietly. "And now?" She asked in answer. He closed the distance between them. Their lips met in a kiss that sent waves of sensation through his entire body. Where they touched, her luminescence intensified, purple light enveloping them both. Ren felt something impossible, a resonance within himself, answering her energy, as though some dormant part of his being had awakened to her touch. The kiss deepened, years of loneliness dissolving in the connection between them. His arms encircled her waist as her hands wove into his hair. Their bodies pressed together, human warmth meeting lunary light, creating something new in the space between species. When they finally parted, Ren was stunned to see faint traces of light moving beneath his own skin, where they had touched not purple like hers, but a soft blue that pulsed in rhythm with her glow. "How is this possible?" he whispered, staring at his hands. Niara's expression mingled wonder and joy. "The crown showed me. Some humans or A1s carry dormant energy patterns compatible with ours. The ancestors called them echo souls, beings whose energy signatures mirror our own." Her fingers intertwined with his, their lights pulsing in synchronized rhythm. "You are one such soul, Renkishi." That night, as the celebration continued below them, Ren and Niara remained in their private alcove, exploring the miraculous connection between them. Each touch brought new discoveries, how his dormant energy responded to hers, how their separate rhythms could synchronize into harmony, how when their bodies joined in ultimate intimacy, the light between them created patterns never before seen on Meridia. Their lovemaking transcended physical pleasure, becoming a communion of energies that left them both transformed. As they lay entwined afterward, watching the three moons complete their celestial dance, both understood that everything had changed, not just for them, but potentially for the future of an entire species. "What happens now?" Ren asked, tracing the luminous contours of her face. Niara's eyes held both hope and uncertainty. "That," she said softly, "is what we must discover together."